couple months back, we made an update video talking about Shane Wright, how he's played since he was drafted 4th overall by Seattle, and how he kind of stagnated in the AHL, considering players like Slafkovsky, Nemec, Cooley were all performing well at the NHL level. But since then, not only am I happy to report that Shane Wright got back into his groove in the NHL, he's also been called up to the Seattle Kraken and has been pretty incredible. In the 4 games that he's played, how good has he truly been? How much will this carry over to next year with Seattle? And could we see him finally start to unlock that draft talent and hype? Well, make sure you watch till the end as we go through all of the stats, all of the play, and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey content and prospect content just like this all throughout the year. Now, you guys know I love talking about Shane Wright on this channel, but he's simply been one of the most fascinating prospects in the league over the past couple of years, especially with the reputation that follows him. Dropping down to 4th overall to Seattle, it was always going to be interesting to see how his career would play out. And like we talked about in that last video, his career has been a pretty topsy-turvy ride up to this point. Right after he was drafted, he played basically everywhere he could have. In the NHL, in the AHL, in the AHL playoffs, in the OHL, in the OHL playoffs, in the World Juniors. He basically was spread everywhere. And in ways, I think it could have been good for his development, but in ways, it kind of left a weird impression where he couldn't really completely impress in any one league. Though considering everything, I still thought he did pretty well, especially in the AHL playoffs and just throughout the OHL regular season. I also thought he was still pretty underrated in the World Juniors. Even though he wasn't on Bedard's level, I thought the overall game really showed through there. And then we head to this season where it's mostly been played at the AHL level, but since we made the last video, his point production has actually been pretty good. In 56 games, he got in the 20 goal plateau, 23 assists for 43 points. You can see since we made that video on February 20th, in the AHL, he got up to a pretty good streak getting back from his injury, playing 13 games, getting 2 goals, 9 assists for 11 points, and getting an even bigger responsibility in the AHL. Overall, he was playing some amazing hockey in the AHL, and with some inconsistencies on Seattle's roster, he was given an opportunity to come up to the team and get some valuable minutes. And the thing for me, the thing I wanted to see for him in the second half was actual playing time. Seattle obviously wasn't going to make the playoffs, so give this kid an actual opportunity to play well. You can see the opportunity, quote unquote, that they gave him earlier in November, and the most he played in any given game was 10 minutes and 54 seconds, then 9 minutes and 8 minutes as well before that. Not exactly giving him the chance to succeed. But then you go on to the 4 games that he's played with Seattle in the NHL since then, and he's been about as good as you could have expected. And in those 4 games, you can immediately see a massive difference in the playing time especially. He hasn't gotten less than 15 minutes and 14 seconds, continuing to play some pretty good minutes in Seattle. But you also look at those 4 games, he has 4 goals, 5 points. You also just look at the shots too, 10 shots on goal in 4 games too, and he's been about as active as he's ever been in his career. And you also just look at the quality of those goals too. 3 out of 4 of them have been game-winning goals, which is pretty miraculous to do in 4 games. Another thing that has actually been really impressive with Wright so far through his stint has been the faceoff percentage. Seattle's actually played him a lot at center, and he's been pretty good this season. In 65 faceoffs, he has a 53.9%, and obviously that's a pretty limited sample size. That is probably going to come a little bit back down to earth. But the fact that Wright is already so good at the dot at the NHL level, that is huge, especially for somebody that's always been a natural centerman. To prove that at the NHL level again is a big thing. That they're actually giving him opportunity in that top 6. Wennberg also being traded does help here, but he's a second line center behind Matty Beniers. It speaks to the time on ice he's getting, but also the opportunity. They're finally giving him at the NHL level a chance to succeed, a chance to put up offensive numbers, and he's done fantastically. Now, this first game was against San Jose, so your mileage might vary, but I do like some of the strides we've seen in Wright, especially in the physical aspects of the game. He was never really a soft player, but especially against pro competition, it was a bit of a learning curve like it is for most. But you see this shot here. Look at how Wright is battling in front of the net. He actually gets incredibly open and almost bangs it home off the rebound. A great opportunity, but it was because he won that battle, got in front of the net, and did the right things. And then you got his first goal since coming back, and it was pretty solid. Even though there was a little bit of a clumsy pass there, he gets the puck back, a fantastic pass across, and he's just open for the shot. A simple 2-on-1 play, but Wright made it look pretty easy. For a lot of these younger players, just refining the basics, the essentials, those little details at the NHL level really make a big difference. And I think for Wright, that has been a big adjustment. You can see him here as the puck is loose along the wall. He just gets that little loose puck, strips it away, goes to Schwartz, a pretty easy play, but he gets in front of the net and just tries to bang it home again. Nothing all too difficult, but again, you see that lower center of gravity. He's pushing into the net, pushing into the slot, trying to make it so nobody can knock him off the puck. That's going to be great for that goal scoring. He's also been used in a little bit of a forechecking role. You can see him coming here on Cam Fowler, creating a little bit of pressure, and as Seattle kind of clogs up the slot, he goes in a perfect position and gets a simple shot off. Again, it's these little plays that might not result in goals, but I really didn't see a lot of Wright doing this back at the start of the year or last year. These simple plays, these really solid, good shifts that create momentum. And we talked about the same thing with Juraj Slafkovsky as well, the start of the year for last season, and the difference that's been made, it's the awareness of the game. It's putting himself in the right positions, using the body, using the talent that he has at the NHL level to do the right things. And just like Slafkovsky has, it seems like Wright is figuring that out too. And later in the period, he would get another goal, and you could see just around the pressure, getting around the combat in front of the net, and just a simple deflection in front. Again, it's nothing fancy, but he won the battle, he won the physicality, and was able to get in front of the net for a pretty solid goal. But that's what Shane Wright's been really doing the most, is getting himself again in those right positions to give him the good luck. I mean, we talk so much on this channel how I have such a belief about earning your luck, about putting yourself in the right positions. Well, I love players that do it, and Wright's doing it right now. Now, this shift is quite a bit long, so I don't think I'll be able to play it without the copyright lords going after me. But you see Schwartz and Wright coming in here on the forecheck, and it kind of creates a little bit of a vacuum play. The Ducks have to clear it to get out of the pressure, but look at Wright coming in, stealing that puck almost immediately, continuing the cycle, and it's a pretty good start. But then you already have some chemistry here with Schwartz as Wright just comes in for the shot from the slot. A great position and a great awareness of the play to get in front of the net, see the open puck, and create some chances there. But then the play keeps going as the Ducks bobble it. Wright's in the right position, and then a great pass to Schwartz, who isn't able to bury it, but that would have been a highlight play if he did. And then in the very next period, I feel like I am the biggest broken record in the history of records, because look at where Shane Wright goes on this play. In front of the net, right in the slot, and sure, Anaheim's defense gave him a gift. I don't know how they weren't covering him in front of the slot, but again, it's that little type of chemistry play with Schwartz again, getting in front of the net. It's the simple positioning that helps Wright in this situation. Now, of course, any NHLer is going to get some easy or cheap or kind of cheating points, but in Shane Wright's case, you know, this is a point he'll take. A little bit of a swervy pass in front, goes off of Beniers. Obviously not that crazy, but still, he's putting in the right position. In front of the net, good things happen. And his last goal versus Arizona also isn't going to win any stylish awards. Velmelka should have absolutely had it. But again, it's putting himself in that position to succeed. It's the quick passing, it's the quick decision making, and being in front of the net. And again, it leads to goals time and time again. But here's the thing to me, considering the shot that Shane Wright has, considering his goal scoring wherewithal, that to me was a huge improvement to see. You want to see these goal scorers, you want to see these guys with natural talent insert themselves, really push the play, get into the right positions. And again, when you have the goal scoring ability that Shane Wright does, you're going to score goals in front of the net if you get there. And it's been a big adjustment, and it's been great to see. Now, we've obviously seen some of the stats, we've seen the highlights as well for Shane Wright, but almost what's most impressive is how much analytically he's already been a dominant player. You look at Seattle and just the 5-on-5 expected goals for per 60, how many goals are expected to score per 60 minutes on the ice, and you can see Shane Wright is far and away #1 on Seattle right now. And although that is definitely to do with some of the sample size too, still in Shane Wright's case, it's per 60 minutes, so it doesn't really inflate that much. In Wright's case, he has been brilliant. It's a 3.38, and Seattle 5-on-5, you can tell, has not been a very good team. 2.5 is about the average, and they've been very average across the board. Yet Shane Wright has been at this fantastic level, and also defensively, ain't too bad either. It's not insane or anything, but he's 10th best on Seattle, which has been a pretty good defensive team. That's also counting defensemen too, and Wright's up there as a forward. You could continue to go through some of the simple stats, like a goals for per 60, one of the best on the team, expected goals for per percentage, one of the best on the team, goals for per 60, one of the best on the team. No matter how you slice it, since Shane Wright's been called up, he's been brilliant. And heck, let's just go through since he's been called up on April 1st, and you can see out of all NHL forwards that have played over 50 minutes since then, Shane Wright is 16th in expected goals for per 60, right up there with Connor McDavid. Not bad. You also look at Juraj Slafkovsky, who comes in 10 points behind at 26, and that's not too bad either. So the 2022 draft, man, it's been a very good year for him. Honestly, I'm just so happy that Shane Wright has been given an opportunity to prove himself. And also for next year, I think it is really huge that he's proved himself in this role already, that he can play at that second line center level and look pretty great doing it. That could really change Seattle's offseason plans and, frankly, open up a top 6 spot for Shane Wright full-time next year. That was one of the conversations we had back then because Alex Wennberg hadn't been traded yet, even though we kind of expected it, but it was kind of a question mark of how much opportunity would he get. Would Hackstall give him a top 6 center spot? Would he have to play third line center minutes next year behind a Yanni Gourde and a Matty Beniers? That was really the big thing, but we've already seen him in just these few games get that massive opportunity, which to me lends a good opportunity next year for potentially even the Calder Trophy. Now, it will be really hard to beat this rookie class, just the depth that it offers, but you'll have some great players next year, like a Cutter Gauthier perhaps, Lane Hutson, Macklin Celebrini, of course, so there will still be some good competition. But it seems like they are rolling out the red carpet for Shane Wright already this year, which you love to see. To me, one of the biggest factors in the Calder Trophy and rookies just in general is how much opportunity they're given. I think you see a lot of rookies over the years where they have a good opportunity and they're right up there in the Calder Trophy conversation. And that's a big factor when I usually predict the Calder Trophy is how much can this player play throughout the year. If he's on a stacked team, it's going to be a big problem. But in Seattle's case, it seems like they fully embraced the youth movement. You could see Ryker Evans as well in the Calder conversation next year too. So Seattle has a lot of good talent coming up. And hopefully with how good Matty Beniers has played the last couple of weeks, that he has a rebound season too. And Seattle's offense could be improved a lot just with those additions. Now, I don't expect him to shoot 36% next year. That would be pretty ridiculous, but I could see Shane Wright maybe around 40, 50 points next year, which would be a big improvement to see. And to me, would put him right smack dab there in the Calder Trophy conversation. But I think as long as he's given the opportunity, as long as he's able to show that mature game, I don't really have many doubts that he'll be a solid overall player. We already know how good he can be defensively, how solid he can be in those areas already at the AHL level, but it's about pushing the offensive game, and so far he absolutely has. That was the biggest roadblock, I would say, for right left at the NHL level, but so far it looks like he's been great. I think you could pretty easily make the case that Logan, Cooley, Juraj Slafkovsky, both of these guys have maybe more offensive potential than Shane Wright, especially in Logan Cooley's case as a centerman. I think he's definitely going to put up more points than Shane Wright does, but at the same time, what Shane Wright does bring with the overall game is to be commended. That's the big question, though, is will he be able to fit the potential of a Cooley or a Slafkovsky into his offensive game, be that potential first overall pick that he was looked at as for a long time. And even though I don't think his statistics in the AHL or the OHL would maybe signal that, I do think there is the opportunity that he, again, rounds out that goal scoring, rounds out that offensive game, and hopefully becomes a first-line center that Seattle could use. That would be best-case scenario. Again, I think for a lot of people calling Shane Wright a bust, did we not learn from Juraj Slafkovsky? I mean, we literally had the Juraj Slafkovsky situation this year where earlier in the year, it was looking absolutely horrible. But again, these guys take time, and sometimes it can just be a flip of the switch. And you can see what Slafkovsky has done since the start of the year, and he could get the 50-point plateau, the 20-goal plateau. It would be absolutely insane to see that. But again, so many people were absolutely giving up on him as even a prospect back earlier this season. And in Shane Wright's case, it was the exact same way. These guys are taking time, and that's okay. And in Shane Wright's case, it might take a little bit more time until next season to see him fully break through. But at the same time, with how Seattle's given that patience to his game, it has paid dividends so far and likely will next year. But that is the Shane Wright update. I hope you guys did enjoy playing so well in the NHL. I just had to give him some appreciation here. And it's going to be really interesting to see how he does next year. Again, let us know down below, how do you guys see Shane Wright turning out? How good of an NHLer do you see him being? And how good do you see him being in the NHL next year? Again, it wasn't a for sure thing whether he'd start with the Kraken a few weeks ago, but now it looks like a sure bet and will really change the trajectory of his career in the better. And also, of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you guys enjoy the prospect updates. And of course, share the video with all the hockey, all the Habs, Seattle, Kraken fans, Devils fans, Coyotes fans, you guys know online for all that 2022 draft talk. And of course, click on this card for all my hockey prospects talk right in one playlist. Tons of stuff there for you to binge. And I'll see you in the next one. I hope you have a fantastic hockey day, and goodbye.